not a penny, because it all has to be monitored and done by certain FEMA rules. So I think maybe looking into things a little more closely was to our benefit in the long run.
The only thing we could have done differently is if we had gotten in the stream early when the state of emergency was happening.
Well, I don't see how that would have been possible.
Wouldn't have
You're
done
gonna
it.
put that together.
That wouldn't have done anything. The county declared a state of an emergency, and that covered all the towns in Ulster
It
County.
did not.
It did so.
It did not. The town had to declare a state of emergency the day of their emergency.
That's not true.
It is true. You didn't do it until the
And
end.
I will have an expert tell you.
Anyway,
What he's leading to, I'll tell you what you're leading to. It was the consultant that said to me, you should declare a town of Olive state of emergency for one reason and one reason only. When if you go in that brook, you're gonna have DEC with their, the word I'm looking
Or
for.
what did Rob Stanley say when we went up to meet with him?
I
to
don't
find
care
out-
what Rob Stanley said. I'm telling you what this guy said. You're covered by the county. You want to call up Mike Hines and ask them? Call him. Been hearing this crap in the street, and it's not true. You're covered under the blanket state of emergency that the county declared. We went one step further because it gives our consultant a little bit more power when it comes to endangered species and all this other good stuff that you may be running into, that somebody will jump on you and say that you're killing a spotted turtle or something.
well, I think one of the important things is if we'd have jumped in that stream immediately and started yanking stuff out, you guys would be paying the bill. FEMA wouldn't give us a nickel. Which, to be honest with you, I didn't realize at the time, that they had this whole strict monitoring system that has to be done. And I guess it's to prove to FEMA that you actually did the work and the bulk of the stuff.
That's not-
Because they pay, that is true.
Simple
And it's
solution.
because they're paid by the, I believe, the cubic yard.
So Shandaken isn't gonna get paid for anything that they did.
Actually, Shandaken didn't spend any money. If you look into your facts a little bit, the local contractors came up, they got a gratis excavator that came up the thruway without any permits because of some people who knew some people. I'm not gonna throw the names out here, but I'll tell you, no, actually, I won't tell you privately because you'll spread it all over town. But anyway, and what they did was they went and they started digging that gravel out, and the local contractors came with their trucks and they took the gravel on a barter system. They didn't spend any money. And that was told to me by the supervisor.
Yeah.
The override, is that possibly for a one-time, one-year thing, or is that, if that gets override, the 2%, it's gonna be forever and go from there?
It's each year.
It's a year, okay.
Okay, can we move along?
I'd like to make a comment. FEMA approves fracking in areas that have been polluted and endangered species destroyed, streams and all kinds of water damage and pollution. And they have no problem with fracking pollution, but we can't take trees out and because we're gonna maybe scare the trout.
I don't think that's FEMA, that's the EPA that permits the fracking.
The DEC in the state.
And
those two,
the
but
EPA
they're all
in the
in
state,
the same
right.
boat. I mean, you know,
DEC gave a year permission to be in the streams of my
Right, the
understanding.
only difference is the emergency permit was, Charlie's absolutely right. The only difference is, it used to be, what was it, Charlie, like, where October 1st you had to stop working in the streams. We can continue working in the stream right through till September 30th of 2012. The only difference between the emergency permit and the permit we have now is that you have to apply and get a general permit, and there'll be some conditions. But they're not gonna keep us out of the stream the way we understand it.
The question is whether FEMA will pay for some of this debris, pay for some of it, but whether they have to approve the project, but on a site by site.
And they're short funded too.
Yeah.
It's all a matter of money.
Okay. October 3rd or 13th, there's a proposed local law number 1 that we can use to override the 2% tax levy. What's going on there is that most towns are doing this. We have to have the public hearing to pass a local law. We can pass this local law the same night before we pass the budget. In other words, it's just a formality that we have in place. To be very honest with you, after we've gone through this a little bit, and if we don't have to borrow a whole lot of money, we can do this and stay below the 2%.
Wow.
So that takes a little creative financing,
You can do it.
but I'm done anyway, so what are they gonna do to me? Got 2 more years, what? Gonna put me in jail, I've been there for 25 years, right, Joe? I'm used to it.
Actually, I think, right, Bert, that even though if we pass a local law, that doesn't mean we have to use it,
Right.
correct? Yes.
Right, well, this just
Just a,
this public hearing allows us to pass it or not pass it. We can pass it the last minute if we need it.
that's a precautionary thing.
So, on Thursday, November 10th, moving along, 7:30, a public hearing on the 2012 budget, and that's also a monthly audit meeting, which we held here before we had this meeting. And then the November board meeting is November 15th, which is a little different. And that's that.
Bert?
Have
Bert?
committee reports?
Bert? Just one other really important message
What's
or
that?
announcement. Our Boyceville Market's gonna open on the 13th.
I think they should get a good hand for that because he was talking Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
so they really, I guess the boys really pushed him, you know, the conversations I had. Well, that's good because I hope people now realize, you know, you don't realize what you have until you lose it. And we should all, including my wife, patronize them a little bit more than they do. She likes going to Kingston, but she misses it too, so I think we all miss it. I think it's a good thing.
I think the store in West Hurley is going to be noticing a change in, I happen to have been in that store and saw about 5 people from all.
Just to go back, that October 13th proposed local law, it is also at 7:30 PM. It doesn't say that on the agenda.
Okay, again, that's just a precautionary measure. Jack,
Bert, the November 10th public hearing and 2012 budget and monthly audit meeting, that's the tentative budget?
That's on the preliminary budget
That's a
when it's
preliminary
available.
budget.
Tentative is available now.
What's the date when the final budget has to be?
5 days before the public hearing, I think approximately November 1st. Because you gotta have 5 business days, and since election day is an official well, it's closed. I counted today, it looks like November 1st. Whether it's available before that, I don't know, but that's the latest I would want the legal ad in the paper.
Excuse me.
what was I gonna say? Big bullet. That public hearing